Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to a slightly different video from me. Today I wanted to sit down and chat to you about 10 things I wish I'd known sooner about money. I am currently in my 40s, but these are all tips that I really wish someone had just told me in my 20s and my 30s. And obviously I'm not a financial advisor. I am just a mum of three who owns her own business, but through the course of parenting, buying houses, renovating, planning for retirement, all of it, I feel like I have made a lot of mistakes, learnt loads along the way, and I have recently really tried to educate myself on money because it isn't my strong point. So this is all very much going to be in layman's terms. But if I can budget and understand the basics, literally anyone can. And sometimes in the finance world, I feel like people make it sound more difficult than it actually is. So I'm going to break stuff down for you today, and I really hope you enjoy it. These are all things I'm also trying to teach my kids, and I've really been on a journey with money, starting out as a kid, very humble beginnings. I had a single mom, we had to be so frugal, and even when Matt and I got married, we had literally no money. He was starting a business. We just lived off of my very small wage, and we had to buy a flat and all of that. So we've gone from that to now being a bit more comfortable. But I really feel like everyone is feeling it at the moment. The cost of living crisis, everything is just so expensive. So I feel like everyone has had to make changes. So I thought I would just share these tips. So the first tip that I wish I'd known sooner is that budgeting gives you freedom and not restriction. And before you click off, because I said the word budget and that sounds really boring, hear me out. It makes such a difference if you write down everything that is coming in and everything that is going out. In the description, I will link the kind of thing that I use, but I warn you, I am a dinosaur, so it's an Excel sheet. But you can also get really great budgeting apps. I actually tried two different apps. One was called Emma and one was called Snoop. You can try I think it's a 2-week free trial and then cancel if you don't like them. I actually ended up canceling because you add all of your bank accounts, retirement, investments, whatever it is, you can link it all up so you can see everything. But for me, none of the apps actually would show me everything in an easy, clear way. So I ended up canceling because I actually just prefer the spreadsheet. But in our spreadsheet, there's 3 different sections. There is needs, wants, and future you. So you would put in all of your salary that's coming in, your partner's salary, any side hustles or other income that you have, maybe you'd put child benefit or something, and then you would have all of your needs, so mortgage, bills, everything that's coming out. Then you would have wants, so things like maybe you're saving up for a holiday or clothes or all the fun stuff. And then you would also have the future you, so you would be what am I putting away for retirement? And then you can just see everything, and over the course of a few months it really does show you where your money's going. You might think, oh my god, we're spending hundreds on coffee, on Deliveroo, whatever it is, and then you can assess. And I would say it takes a good 3 to 4 months to really get into the benefits of a budget. And now that we use it, I really like it because it kind of gives us a goal and it just makes you think. It's a bit if I was trying to good in terms of what I'm eating, when I write down everything that I'm eating in the day, it's just confronting. You're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I had that chocolate bar and then I had that cinnamon roll. And then it just shows you what you're actually doing. My next tip is to pay your future self first. So instead of at the end of the month, if there's anything left over, you might stick that into savings. Pay yourself first. So when you get paid at the beginning of the month, it's worth setting up direct debits so that some money will just go straight into different buckets or accounts. That's really easy to set up on banking apps, and I do appreciate that some people will be watching this and thinking, well, I have nothing left at the end of the month. If you do the first point of keeping a budget and you notice, okay, I'm actually spending so much on clothes or so much on, I know it's cliche, but coffees, that might be something that you can scale back and then have a little bit of money to put into savings. So for me, when I get paid at the end of the month, I have some direct debits that are already set up, so I don't even have to think about it. So say for instance, we have a Christmas fund. So every month, I know this is going to sound like a lot, but every month I put £200 away into the Christmas fund. Obviously, we have a big family and all three of my kids have birthdays in and around like that end of the year. So it's just a really expensive time. Matt's birthday's in December as well. It just feels like there's so much to buy at that time of year. But because I put £200 a month away, like already we're in March, I have £600 saved now for Christmas. So when we get to Christmas, I have money to buy the food, to buy the gifts, to buy the stocking. I sort of plan for it now, and you can do that with different things. You know, obviously if you're saving for like a holiday or whatever it is, try to do it at the beginning of the month, set it up. And obviously I know that if I had a really hard month, I could probably dip into the Christmas fund, but just by doing it, it just kind of takes it at the beginning. There's actually so many great banking apps now, like Monzo, for instance. They do some really cool different challenges. So one of them that I heard about was as many pennies as the day. So on the first day of the year, they take 1 penny. On the second, it's 2 pennies, and then it goes up and up and up. But by the end of the year, you would have saved up nearly £700 just by doing that. And you don't really feel it. I think there's also apps that do like roundups as well. So all of that helps towards your savings. The next tip is what I really wish someone had told me when I was in my 20s, and that is to invest. Even if it is a very small amount, the thing with investing is the time that you have. So if you're in your 20s, if you start investing a small amount of money, it will compound and grow so much more than what I'm putting into it, you know, now, later in life. So it is really worth playing around with a compounding calculator. I will link a simple one in the description down below. If you go to that, just put in a few different figures, like, you know, if I was to save £100 a month, what would it grow to? Say if you are 20 and you started investing just £100 a month, that money, by the time you're 65, you would have put in £54,000. But even if it grew just at 5% interest, which the stock market normally grows more than that, you would have put 54,000 in, but you would have over £200,000. And that is how your money can compound and grow. So it's something I'm really trying to teach the kids, something I am trying to invest a little bit for them already as well, because they're so young. It's going to be so helpful. And I just keep thinking, why did no one tell me about this? You know, I appreciate that having an extra £100 a month isn't something that, you know, especially everyone right now would be having. But when I was young, I was probably spending £100 a month in Primark, whereas I probably could have been putting it away for my future. So I just wish I had invested. And if you don't have a clue what investing is, how to even do it, I was exactly the same. I just watched a few videos on YouTube. My next tip is to use your ISA allowance if you can. And if you don't even know what an ISA is, it's basically just a savings or investment that grows tax-free. So in the UK, we're allowed to put £20,000 a year away into an ISA. And then if it has any growth or compounding interest over your lifetime, all of that is your money. You don't have to pay any tax on it. So that is the beauty of it. I think in the US, an ISA is called a Roth IRA, but it's basically the same thing. And I appreciate, you know, not many people will like have some extra money just lying around they can put into an ISA. But if you do, it is a great way to build wealth, basically. And you don't have to put in £20,000. Like even if you have a spare £1,000, £2,000, whatever it is, if you put it in an ISA, all of that, anything that it grows in the future is going to be tax-free, whereas with our retirements, you will have to pay tax on that when you take it out. My next tip is to open a junior ISA for your children. So like an ISA for adults, this is a way of investing for your children's future, and basically your money can grow. And in the UK, we get an allowance of £9,000 a year you can put into a junior ISA. But even if you don't put anywhere near that, even if you just do a small monthly amount for your kids, it really can build up over time. So this is something we're doing for our boys. I'll put a little chart on screen here. If you were to put in £25 a month when your child was born, by the time they were 18, it would be about 5,400, but with compounding growth, it would be about 8,300. So even just £25 a month, it'll be 8,300 when they turn 18. I mean, that could help them get car insurance, a car, towards uni, something like that. But if you could afford a little bit more, say £100 a month for your child from birth, that would actually grow to £33,200 by the time they're 18. And that could really help towards, like, you know, a deposit for a flat, a wedding, whatever it is. It's just a great way of setting your kids up for the future if you have a little bit of extra. My next tip is to not ignore your pension. And I know the word pension just makes me think that's really boring. And it's something that I have ignored for so long, especially when I was young and I worked for a corporate company. I would just pay whatever I needed to pay to get the employee match. And I never really thought about it that much. Now that I'm self-employed, I definitely think about it more. And I recently moved my pension from a company like Scottish Widows, I think it was, to a SIP, which is a self-invested personal pension, I think it's called. So now I can actually see my pension. I can choose what I invest in with my pension. Again, I use my financial advisor ChatGPT to help me with that, but I'm actually making a greater return than I was with the pension company. I think with them, I was walking away with like 5% because they would take a percentage as well. But in my SIP, I'm actually earning a bit more. So even just looking at that and changing it has made a huge difference to me, and it will over time. And also, if you're a geek like me, I would totally recommend checking out what your Coast FIRE number is. Some of you may have heard of this, but FIRE is basically Financial Independence Retire Early. That's what it stands for. And you can work out your Coast FIRE number with ChatGPT as well. So you can say, you know, I am 43 years old. I'd like to retire at 70 or whatever it is. And I'd like to have like a moderate income once I retire. How much do I need to have in retirement now to be fine for the future? And it can give you a number. And I just really liked doing that because now I feel like I've got a goal for retirement, and it can also then break down, okay, you need to be saving this much each month to reach your Coast FIRE. And, you know, let me know if you want to know more on that. I don't want to talk about it too much, but it just gives you a plan and a goal. My next tip is to overpay on your mortgage if you can, and occasionally we will make overpayments on ours. In the past, I think interest rates were so low that people thought, why would I bother paying off my mortgage because I'm borrowing this money at such a low rate? But as it's gone up, it's definitely made us think about it a lot more. And I started to look at our mortgage, and straight away I noticed that on our banking app, you can see all of our accounts, but then our mortgage was kind of hidden. So when I finally found our mortgage account, I started to look at it more and more. And when a mortgage payment comes out, I think, great, that's however much off of the mortgage. But then every single day, interest is going up and up and up again, and it's charged daily. So by the end of the month, we have actually not paid much off of our house at all. It's mostly interest at this stage. So for us, it was definitely worth looking at, okay, say we have a 27-year mortgage, but if we paid off like just a little bit more every month, we could maybe pay it all off within like 15 years or 10 years, depending on what you can do. And I know some people will say you can make more by putting your money into investments rather than mortgage. But personally for me, I love the idea of just owning this house so that when we retire, if we ever retire, we don't have that worry and it's just paid off that bit sooner. So that's just something that we are conscious about. And actually when you play with the numbers, if you're like, okay, my mortgage is a 30-year at the moment, but what would the cost of it be every month if I made it a 20-year or 15-year? I think you'll be surprised because I found it really interesting. I feel like this next tip might be a little bit controversial, and let me know what you think in the comments, but it is to combine finances if you are married or in a serious relationship. We do that, so everything goes into one account. We can see it all, and then there's no like ours, yours, mine, like everything just comes out of that account. We're aligned on our financial goals. We're aligned on what we're saving for. It also makes it completely transparent as to like how we're both spending our money. And obviously in the budget, you know, if I wanted to buy a handbag, I could buy a handbag, say. If he wants to spend money on, I don't know, some golf thing, he can do that. But it just means that we are completely transparent, and actually the data shows that couples that combine their finances have a greater success rate in terms of money, but also satisfaction. So I know sometimes it can be uncomfortable sitting down talking about finances, but then I just feel like we're on the same page and we're working towards the same thing. My next tip is to have a little emergency fund. And again, I appreciate that is if you have any like surplus or extra, but even just having a small emergency fund means that, you know, when life happens, when your boiler breaks or your fridge breaks or something happens, you have a little bit of a buffer. For me, I have a bigger emergency fund, especially because I'm self-employed. I am so nervous that all of this could literally end tomorrow. So having a 3 to 6 month like rainy day fund emergency, if everything went wrong, I would have like a little bit of a backup. That just really gives me peace of mind, and it's something that I just love having. And my last tip is to consider having a side hustle. So for me, YouTube and content creation was actually my side hustle alongside my day job for years. But then I had so many kids and it grew to a point where I could actually quit my day job and do this full time. But even now that I have this, I am constantly thinking of other things that I can do on the side. So I now sell on Vinted just to make a bit of money back, and to almost, I feel like Vinted helps me towards buying stuff for the kids, buying clothes that I want as well. I also do a little bit of like Amazon affiliates as like another side thing. So thinking about businesses that you can do, and this is something that I talk to my kids about, you know, rather than just working in a shop and earning just that amount, consider selling a few things like on Vinted. Or I actually saw the most amazing little business on TikTok the other day, and it was this like 15-year-old kid, I was telling Fraser about it, who goes door to door and is just washing bins, like wheelie bins. So he's charging people £10 for 2 big wheelie bins, which is something you never really get around to washing. But because he's a kid and it's his own little business, like everyone is saying yes. And this kid is making like a killing. But just thinking a little bit outside of the box can bring in so much more money. It can be in addition to your wage. You know, if you're walking your dog, could you walk another dog for a little bit more money? Could you dog sit? Could you, there's so many things. You can actually go on ChatGPT and say, what would be a good side hustle for me? If you can't think of anything, but I would just say that having side hustles has made a huge difference to my life. So yeah, that is it. Those are my 10 top money tips. Let me know what you think. I know that was probably a lot, and each one of those points could be a video on its own. So if there's anything you guys want to know more about, yeah, let me know and give me your tips in the comments as well. And thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know it's a bit different for me and the sun keeps moving. Sorry about that. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.